Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Obviously, still with some voice issues here, but the show must go on. And today we are talking about Tesla. They're essentially a death trap, apparently, but this is actually an interesting one because we had some major news that blew up as conspiracy theory, and I want to talk about it because I think it's important in the future of basically car technology, which is why we're talking about it today. Now, as I study disinformation as part of my day job, I found this one to be an interesting one because, like I said, it totally blew up online. So first, let's talk about the backstory here. Now, if you don't know who Angela Chow is, she is a billionaire, or I should say was a billionaire, and sister to the former Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chao, under President Trump. And Elaine Chao happens to also be married to Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. Yes, basically the minority leader in the Senate. So essentially, she drowned in her Tesla Model X. Now, almost immediately, the disinformation and conspiracy started. Basically, there was speculation that her Tesla was hacked and somebody locked her in it and basically drove it into a lake. Angela Chow died on February 18th, and then about a week later or so to 10 days, Senator McConnell announced that he was retiring. Was somebody trying to send him a message? These are the kinds of things that we're talking about. And sometimes the issues here, or what actually happened, are a lot less tinfoil hat. Now, here's what's going on. And I think this is important because Teslas have a confusing design to some of its owners, and that is a much more straightforward answer. Now, according to car publication Jalopnik, this is essentially what happened, and they brought the receipts as well. Now, Angela Chow accidentally reversed into a pond on basically a 900-acre Texas ranch last month in February. She reversed her Model X when she meant to drive forward, basically during a K-turn, one where you go up, down, and over, that kind of thing. And that's a common problem, interestingly enough, among Tesla X owners. Now, Chow had told friends that she had mixed up drive and reverse several times in her car before that fatal accident, and she's not alone. Because according to Business Insider, and I quote, Business Insider found 12 complaints related to Tesla reverse function in a database of automobile consumer complaints kept by the U.S. Department of Transportation. 7 of those complaints were from people who said the way Tesla had designed the gear shift was confusing, resulting in then sometimes them putting the car into drive when they meant to put it into reverse, or vice versa. The other 5 complaints were from people who said their cars appeared to switch between drive and reverse without warning. Now, the issue also found its way onto Tesla forums, where one Tesla owner in 2022 wrote that they had accidentally, quote, shifted to reverse instead of drive by mistake, end quote, 3 times in 2 years since they'd had the car. Another Tesla owner also wrote in 2022 that they, quote, just nearly had an accident, end quote, because of confusion over how to put the car in reverse. Quote, within the first month of having my car, I did something similar, end quote, according to another user responding to that one as well. Now, Business Insider did not clarify whether Chow was driving a pre-2021 Tesla or the post-2022 Tesla with the goofy touchscreen and complete lack of indicator, and also the stock. You see the PRND, like park, reverse, neutral, drive. Because basically, but because the issue revolves around the screen shifting problem, we can assume that her Tesla basically was the 2022 or newer, and if she's a billionaire, odds are it was. However, Business Intelligence found complaints, though, of both models, both pre and post, having those issues. Quote, prior to late 2021, drivers of all Teslas shifted in reverse by depressing the brake pedal and flicking a gear stalk to the right of the steering wheel up, a motion that some complainants said was confusing because for some models and years, the same motion on the gear stalk disengages the car's autopilot mode when the brake is not depressed. Now, one driver of a Tesla Model Y said that they had accidentally put the car into reverse in 2022 while waiting at a stoplight, narrowly avoiding a collision. When the light turned green, they, quote, instinctively, and end quote, flicked the right hand gear stalk upwards to disengage autopilot so they could turn left, And that's what they told the Department of Transportation, meaning they thought they were just disengaging autopilot to go, and they end up going backwards, almost hitting the car behind them. In other words, this is not that intuitive, and it may be people getting used to this, but there are people out there. And mind you, whoever is complaining, there are a legion of people that simply don't. They just put up with it or shake their head or whatever, or don't join forums to basically complain with others. Now, as for the system in 2021, it got even worse. It's a problem that Jalopnik themselves, the article I'm cribbing from here, basically reported on 3 years ago when the new needlessly confusing touchscreen shifting was first debuted. It seemed like a major change in how humans interact with their cars that essentially nobody was asking for. And while Tesla likes to push the envelope for car innovation, we all know this, that change was kind of puzzling because, for the record, Musk also claimed that the car would predict what gear shifts the driver wanted to do ahead of time. In other words, oh, well, it's a touchscreen, but it understands you want to go forward or reverse. Quite frankly, I don't think I trust any car's AI to do that right now. Musk also claimed that using stocks to indicate basically turning or choose what gear to go into was quote unquote annoying. So great, maybe it's annoying to, what it ends up being essentially a Bond villain in this issue here. But yeah, I mean, come on. At least we know what we're doing. The whole point of having these things labeled and making it clear and intuitive is so that these kinds of mistakes don't happen. Now, reverse confusions in the cars were basically a pittance to other problems that drivers had, mostly about phantom braking, which led to the death of at least one Tesla owner. So we've got a reverse issue, obviously, that Chow happened to have, and then obviously didn't get out of her vehicle. And we'll talk about that because the reversing problem is a huge safety bug that was intentionally programmed into the system. Other poor design choices, though, also contributed to Chow's death. The window was unbreakable, meaning she couldn't basically punch out the window, but her friends in the local fire department actually had that issue as well, trying to open the window. That's something that Tesla prides themselves on. Oh, these things are damn near bulletproof, or bulletproof in the case of the Cybertruck. And on top of it, it wasn't immediately obvious how you open the doors if essentially the electricity is out. And if this thing is being submerged in water and it's not waterproof, even though that was a claim Musk made a while ago. Oh, yes, well, these things might be able to be submergible. He makes a lot of claims that just don't come to fruition, for the record. I don't care if you love or hate the guy. That's just a fact. How do you open the doors, essentially with that there? And especially for a first responder like a fire department that's trying to break glass to get to, let's say, a drowning victim, that's a huge problem. And that puts the Cybertruck's rock-resistant windows, because they were saying, oh, they're going to be bulletproof, like, shatterproof, that kind of stuff. Well, that's a huge issue, especially if, you're a submersible. The Cybertruck is not a submarine. If you've got to get out of that car in an emergency and you can't break the windows, that is essentially your watery grave. And so these are things I think that need to be adjudicated. These are things that need to be issues. This was not some crazy thing. She simply, as she stated before, got confused with reverse and drive, because unlike a regular selector where you're putting it into D or putting it into R, there are touch screens and there are other non-intuitive things that, and especially for a person her age, basically she would have been driving for decades, understanding, gear shifts. In the same way I've been driving both manual and automatic cars, for most of my life. And if suddenly you completely change that up on me and now you've completely reversed that, the old muscle memory of how to put it in a drive is going to kick in, and maybe I'm putting it in reverse or park or something I didn't mean to do. So that's a huge problem, but it's not a conspiracy. It's just simply, quite frankly, counterintuitive design to how we've always done something. And while it may seem innovative, it can also be deadly, and that's something we need to think about. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.